This week, Alistair's looking to the skies for guidance.
We're going to get some help navigating from up there.
Lara's getting hangry with a robot hand.
No pressure, but I am quite hungry. I'm not sure how appealing that lettuce is looking after having that done to it.
And Spencer leaps forward to the year 2125.
I'm eye to eye with a cuttlefish.
Doesn't he need a snorkel for that? MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory is a world-leading facility. But today I've come to teach a thing or two. To the robots, that is, not the people. In a bid to help them behave as humanly as possible, especially with the tasks that we wouldn't give a second thought to. This reinforcement learning, where the machines mimic humans, is how the AI is trained. It aims to make the bots less, well, robotic and more multi-skilled.
This motion is actually independent of where we place the glass and the pitcher, so we can have a much more adaptive system that does not need to have everything specified precisely. In fact, this is part of the magic of machine learning. With machine learning, we can turn pre-programmed robots into intelligent machines. That means we can use data, we can use text, we can use images, we can even use muscle activity. And we can learn from this data how to do tasks in a much more seamless way.
Baxter's also been trained on doing the dishes and chopping veg. Wouldn't that be nice? Meanwhile, robotic hand, anyone?
So Laura, this is another robot we've been working on. And what's special about the hand is that it's got a very compliant body. So it's got skin, in other words, soft material.
Can I touch it?
You can touch it.
It feels like silicone, but I can also feel what is like the bones inside.
So the reason we put bones inside is because we want to have a hand that is compliant, and that's what we get from the silicone.
On with the glove and time for a lighter task to start.
My hand's starting off in the same position as the bot, and the idea is that I'm going to train it to pick up that dollar bill. It's really sensitive to movement. As you can see here, just the tiniest turns, and you can really see them. Also, those movements are quite human. If I do a kind of typing action, look at that, look at the fingers in real time. Right, so if I now move my hand down as though I'm going to pick up the dollar bill, okay. Oh, I'm a bit over there, aren't I?
You're off. You have to shift.
I tried and failed repeatedly, so I'm not sure how much use this training was.
Oh, so close, it's so frustrating.
Next up, a look at how robots can work as a team. Think swarm of ants.
What sort of real-world uses would robotics created on this basis have?
You could take a swarm of robots like these ones and get them to go up a bridge to ensure the integrity of the bridge. We have to consider what should the body do, what should the brain do, and depending on the task of the robot, how should we design the body so that the body is capable of the task? But that's not enough. We then need the brain to get the body to do what it's meant to do.
And I suppose the interaction between devices is really important for real-world purposes like self-driving cars, that they be able to see each other and understand how to interact with what's around them.
Exactly. So the coordination and group behavior we get from local interactions to global behavior are super important. That is part of physical intelligence. That is part of getting robots to perceive the world around them and reason about it.
And now it's turtle time. Crush is autonomous, having learnt to swim from data collected on real sea turtles.
This actually gives us a very naturally moving robot that goes in the sea and does not disturb the sea life, and that allows us to study the sea life better. This robot is able to move whatever way we want in the sea. All of this enabled by its algorithms.
I can actually see how natural the movement seems. The fact that it's not that even, it's smooth, but it doesn't seem that sort of organised in its movement, which is, of course, a very real way that a creature would behave.
Exactly.
From the seas to the skies, devices are not only learning from the physical world, but also from language and AI's ability to reason.
Move towards the bag.
This drone is being trained to understand instructions in any language. It's never seen a red bag or a traffic cone in its dataset, but combining its understanding of language and vision, it is able to reason, so should be able to understand and carry out this command and so many more.
And there it is, just by me instructing it in my own words, it ended up in the right spot.
Before I go though, I have been promised some lunch. Someone's making me a sandwich.
No pressure, but I am quite hungry. Not sure how appealing that lettuce is looking after having that done to it. It's not man-handled, it's robot-handled.
It's getting there. Turns out that for robots, some of the jobs that we find the easiest are going to take some time to learn.
It's like watching someone with a claw machine, just a really advanced version.
And there we have it.
I'm going to swim out to you in a couple of seconds. I'll grab you by the back and hold you tight. You sit there, okay?
Rough seas, high winds and flooding are just some extreme weather conditions this lifeboat crew must navigate. Based on the southwest coast of Scotland, the volunteers of Nith Inshore Rescue are tasked with saving lives at sea. Yes, even Tam the dog. But the stretch of water where they launched the lifeboat, an estuary on the Solway Firth, is exposed to rapidly moving tides. This creates tidal flats, basically sand and mud that move around. They're dangerous and difficult to map.
It's the second biggest tidal range in the UK. And so when the tide's running, you can get a bore, so a wave will come in and literally salt flats, the mud flats and the sand gets covered very, very quickly, and that creates kind of a challenge around how we navigate out of this space, because it can lead to us not being able to get to where we need to at that critical moment.
And with those tidal flats changing sometimes weekly, it's almost impossible to chart a safe route out to people in danger. But now they've got a new tool to help them out.
We're about to go out on the water with the crew, but when we're there, we're going to get some help navigating from up there.
Orbiting above us, this is the European Space Agency's Sentinel-2 mission. The satellites pass over the Earth 14 times a day, gathering a mix of data, including radar. It's then analysed by a team from Strathclyde University to identify safe routes through the water.
So what we've got here is a marine chart that shows us the area of the upper Solway Firth. If I just zoom out a second, you'll see this whole white block. That's an area that basically means it's uncharted.
And this is the area that you operate.
This is the area we're operating, so that's a whole load of sandbanks that are exposed when the tide are out. And although we can see a lot of water here, it's at a whole range of different depths. We'll shortly see the depth change. It'll change fairly dramatically. We go beyond the channel and it'll drop off as well.
The low depth means the danger of the boat running aground is high. Traditionally, that means they've had to travel slowly to a rescue or relied on data gathered by hand, literally putting a stick in the water to see how deep it is.
If I zoom in, these little red dots is the channel being marked that's been generated by that satellite data. So the University of Strathclyde have given us a whole load of waypoints in a file, and we'd literally just upload those into this chart.
You effectively get a sat-nav for being out in the water?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Laurie, who is at the helm, has got a repeat of this screen, so he can see what we can see here.
Before turning to space, the team tried using pictures from drones to see the tidal flats, but there is a problem. A day out on the water here is rarely as beautiful and clear as it is today.
The problem that we have in the west of Scotland in particular is that it is very cloudy. So you might occasionally get a cloud-free image, but they're really unusual. So we're using radar data. Radar penetrates through the cloud and it gives us much more frequent imagery of the area, but it's also much more complicated to process that data. And that was the real challenge that we had here.
And so it is looking effectively at the ground and seeing where the sandbanks are.
Yes, it is looking at where is the water, where is the exposed sand and mud, where is the kind of the coastline, and then if we can get images at low tide, then we can show where the water channel is, and then the crew can navigate through that water channel. To the naked eye, you can start to see it, but that's quite a manual process to actually just click and say, well, go here. What we're looking to do is automate that so that you can then do it not just here, but you could do it anywhere on any tidal flat system. What the algorithm spits out is effectively latitude and longitudes, and we then take those and create what's called a GPX file. GPX file goes into your Garmin, goes into the navigation device on the boat, so the crew can load that directly onto their navigation device.
For Gwilym and the inshore rescue team, radar imagery is helping them to save lives at sea more safely and at speed.
People locally and others who look at it, it's kind of a wizardry. It's kind of like a real magical thing that the first time we can go, here's a set of waypoints that recently have been captured as a guide for navigation. It literally gives us a kind of eye of what's under the water, you know, where the edges of that channel are, and that for the first time, a confidence that we can head in a certain route.